Well, real man, that was a very real and honest, touching video. Um, and I'm not going to bag on you because you stole when you were younger. Not going to do that. Told you I would be civil, and I'm going to. But this video requires a real response because that was a very, very real, from your heart response, and I could tell. Um, you know, there, there are, um, there are good psychologists, though. There are psychologists that do care. I've talked to them, but the ones that I've talked to that I knew cared were usually professors. I've talked to like people who I've talked to people who were therapists that didn't know a thing about what they were talking about. But the professors, they genuinely cared, and they were there for you, and you didn't need anything but to talk to them a little bit. You didn't have to take any pills or anything. And since they're a professor, they couldn't even prescribe pills if they wanted to. Um, but I have seen that it's true that America, the prescription drug company in America is very powerful and influencing all sorts of things. Psychology and psychiatry was not existed before these prescription drug companies started doing these things, but the psychiatry field is being tainted by this. Now, the psychology field, psychology is just the people who try to talk to you and use therapy to help you through. Talking therapy. Usually. Sometimes you will find a psychologist that will prescribe more and a psychiatrist that will talk more, but it's very rare. I've had my friends say I can count the times that happens, that I've heard that happen on one hand. Um, they they tell one of my professors said, uh, one of the students told one of my professors just the other day that they wanted to become a psychiatrist, but they didn't want to prescribe drugs. And then he cut her off and he said, then you don't want to become a psychiatrist. If you become a psychiatrist, that's what you do. You prescribe drugs. You are trained in the medical model, and you are. And he kind of grimaced at that fact because you would be trained in the medical model for a mental problem. He kind of grimaced at that fact, but he said, you are trained in the medical model if you become a psychiatrist. You're not trained to sit there and talk to them and help them through their problems. You're trained, get the drug to fix the problem. So he said, so if you want to be a psychiatrist, if you want to talk to people, you need to become a therapist. Um, Now, also, I can understand why. Um, I can understand why you still have problems with psychologists and psychiatrists, because I'm not going to hazard a guess at the time frame that this was, but psychology, and psychology and psychiatry have had a dark history of they it has. It's a new science, and it does lots of uh, it's done lots of horrible things. Um, and you're right about it being a scam in the psychiatry field in a lot of the respects. There's some medications that are helpful, but I don't feel like the vast majority of them are helpful. I mean, ADHD and ADD, I don't, I don't think they are. I'm not even sure if they completely exist as such. You know, as a disorder. I feel more like the parents are simply not patient enough to handle their children. And when they don't have that patience to handle their children grow up, and then they need something to calm them down. So people are like, oh, it's ADD, it's ADHD, it's an epidemic. It's not an epidemic. It's an artificial epidemic. So things like that really scare me, because it it's not the reason why I started studying psychology. I read up on Freud. I read up on Erik Erikson. They didn't. They didn't say. Um, Erik Erikson didn't say, "Oh, you're this way because of this kind of thing in your brain, and you need a pill." No. Erik Erikson said that you are you are feeling this way because you didn't because when you were in your infancy stage, you developed mistrust instead of trust, or and you just need to uh, relive that stage, or you need someone to trust. Or Carl Rogers, my favorite. Do you know what he said people needed to get better from things? He didn't say that they needed drugs. He didn't say they needed uh, that they had any sort of imbalance in them. He said they have everything within them to get on the right path. All they need is unconditional positive regard. He said humans will grow and develop on a path that will make them flourish in the best way possible, and so the only thing they really need is unconditional positive regard, because that's something that people don't get, is people saying you're an awesome person, no matter what you do, you're still awesome. You just need to look at what you do and see if it reflects that awesomeness, but you're still going to be awesome no matter what. It's unconditional positive regard. Things like that, they're not reflected in psychiatry very often. I don't see any of the theorists being reflected in psychiatry, in the prescription of drugs and the way that they are prescribed so often. So sometimes like sometimes, like with some extreme forms of schizophrenia, you can't help but give them drugs. But when we're talking about bipolar, well, when we're talking about bipolar, sometimes some I've known some people who are bipolar that they're not on any medications and they're functioning fine. But that is still a tricky one because bipolar can be dangerous. And I don't want anyone to commit suicide who's someone's loved one who's bipolar. But if we're going to study these sorts of things, we need to get out of America. I need if people are going to study these sorts of things, they need to get out of America to study it, and because America is so corrupted by businesses that it is sickening. The pharmaceutical company corrupting everything. That's why when I become a professor, I'm shipping myself out to New Zealand. I'm getting out of here. I don't like the way things are happening in this country. And I honestly don't trust in our ability to change the direction. As far as the way people are handling drug prescription, and as far as the way America is handling other things as well. But lots of respect for you for that video, real man, and I'll see you later.